I'd like to say something first.
Okay.
Do you know that song by Nicki Minaj, Super Bass?
Yeah, I do.
Hmm. You seem to be very familiar with Nicki Minaj's catalog. Are you a fan?
I'm a casual listener, kind of. Yeah.
Oh, I was thinking that you would be able to say something like, pull up in the Sri Lanka or something like that. But okay, let's get the ball rolling.
Okay. All right. So for the first part of the test, I'm going to ask you a few questions on different topics. So let's talk about international food. So can you find food from different countries where you live? Why or why not?
Mm, I think that I can do that. And it's mostly because Korean food is very popular here, especially among young people, like high school students. I mean, near my apartment, and there are probably five Korean food stalls which sell Korean dishes, of which names have slipped my mind. But by my observation of the comings and goings of customers, I assume that these food stalls are very successful. There are also a couple of Japanese restaurants, but I feel like they're more niche in a way. So mostly adult would go to these places.
So have you ever tried making food from another country? Why or why not?
Well, I'm not that great a cook, so um, well, I've only tested my luck with Korean noodles. I mean, it's nothing very sophisticated because I only bought instant noodles from the supermarket, and then I tried to put my own spin on the recipe, boiling pork and egg, and also vegetables to make the dish slightly more flavorful. It was a good attempt because, well, I didn't end up vomiting anything out, and I also helped to like soften, the spiciness by drinking Coke. So it helped with the with me digesting the food.
Mhm. So what food from your country would you recommend to people from other countries?
I mean, there's certainly a lot of options. I mean, pho is pretty iconic, and I think that, it's the dish that puts us on the map as far as, our culinary world is concerned. I would definitely recommend them to try pho, but at the same time, I feel like eel noodles are somewhat underrated. So, if I, see foreigners and, they want to, explore our cuisine a bit more, I would definitely recommend them to try that particular dish. But the thing about that particular dish is that you have to like go to the right restaurant where, the eels are prepared nicely because sometimes the fried eels are kind of like tasteless. So you need to try the fresh eels, but fresh eels tend to be pretty fishy.
Mhm. Okay, so now let's talk about meeting new friends or new people. So, do you like meeting new people?
Mm, I'm on the fence about this because, well, I'm not that sociable, so I don't really take the initiative of meeting people and striking up conversations with them. But I do think that at this age, I need to, step out of my comfort zone and meet new friends because, well, most of my friends have already, turned over a new leaf. A lot of them have already, gotten married, and some of them have already got their own children, so they have no time for me. And I guess, that's a really practical reason for me to, start making new friends.
Mhm. So, did you make a lot of friends when you were a child?
Oh, I think so. I mean, I I don't think that I pulled the weight myself because most of my friends were my classmates. So, we just ended up, becoming friends by virtue of, being in the same class, for most of the day. And I had a lot of good friends back then. Some of them were in my neighborhood. So, we, got out and about pretty often. They were nice kids as well. So, my parents didn't mind me hanging out with them.
Mhm. Okay, so what do you often talk about with your new friends?
Well, as far as my new friends are concerned, um, I guess we talk about virtually, everything under the sun. If I, see someone that is in the same age range as I am, then we can talk about work and how much money we're making. For some reason, I've become a lot more open-minded about, financial matters, unlike, the way that I was when I was younger, a lot more reserved and somewhat prejudiced against the people talking about money. For younger friends, I try to talk about things that are viral on the internet, like some of the dance covers that I can never hope to do because of the fact that I'm not that flexible anymore. But I'll try to say things like perhaps giving them suggestions that they can jump on the bandwagon.
Hmm. Okay, so now in the next part of the test, I'd like to okay, give you a topic and you can speak for between 1 and 2 minutes. So I'd like you to talk about a law that was introduced in your country and that you thought was a good idea. Okay, so you'll have 1 minute to prepare for the topic. I'll tell you when it's time to start. All right, so we should start now.
Okay, so I'm not quite sure if I'm shooting myself in the foot here, but the law that I like to talk about today is the prohibition of extra classes taught by teachers in public schools. So this law was implemented a few months ago, and it caused quite a debate on social networking sites. So you see, here in Vietnam, teachers in the past were allowed to teach extra classes, and oftentimes these classes helped students to prepare for important exams like the university entrance one, which was very hard, and I think that it's still very challenging considering all the new changes that have been introduced to the new syllabus. And a few months ago, um, a government official suggested that these extra classes should be banned so that the kids would have more time for other meaningful activities, such as enhancing their physical fluidity by practicing sports or joining in other activities such as playing a musical instrument or playing sports with friends. So at the time, this particular initiative was accepted by the parliament, and all classes taught by teachers in public schools were banned. And at the time there was quite a huge debate, but I didn't really, keep tabs on that because I was a freelance teacher. But I noticed that, some of my friends who were, working in the public school had to, make adjustments to, make ends meet. And personally, I think that, this was a positive development because well, thus far, teachers, in public schools have made a lot of changes with regard to the way that they deliver their lessons. I mean, I'm not assuming that they didn't do a good job back then. It's just that now, they seem to really step up their game and, deliver lessons in a more engaging way, knowing that the kids cannot attend all these extra classes to prepare for tests and things like that. But I'm not quite sure that this law is going to be implemented for a longer period of time because recently there has been another initiative suggesting that these extra classes should be allowed to continue. It's just that there should be perhaps a government body managing these classes.
Mhm. Okay, so now in the final part of the test, I'd like to discuss one or two general questions related to what you've been talking about. So first off, how important is it to have rules in a school?
Well, as far as my eyes can see, rules are definitely essential to the operation of a school. First of all, when there are rules, both students and teachers know what they should and should not do. For instance, in Vietnamese schools, teachers are required to always show up on time and always, keep their students engaged in, classroom activities, which, in my opinion, is an important requirement to make sure that, first of all, the teachers do what they're supposed to do, and the kids, can make the most of the time that they spend at school. Now, as for the kids, most Vietnamese students have to wear school uniforms, which kind of, embodies the notion of like being fair and equal to everyone else. And personally, I think that these rules are very positive, and they should be implemented to create an environment where educational values can be upheld and delivered to all the kids. In addition to that, the presence of rules also helps with the process of deciding what to do when, kids and also adults, cross, the line with regard to what they should not do. And for instance, if the kids, bully other kids, then they should be at the very least be chastised by teachers, and then they can perhaps be punished in the form of doing a bit of cleaning work or doing some activities with the class to learn about the consequences of their actions. And in a similar way, if teachers violate rules by not showing up on time or dressing inappropriately, then they can be, I guess, reprimanded or punished accordingly.
Mhm. Okay. All right. So, can you suggest why many students nowadays decide to study law at university?
It's an interesting question. My guess is that law is an area where there are lots of opportunities for a lucrative career. And well, I pull that out of thin air, to be honest, because I have no idea what's going on in the world of law firms and corporations. But my assumption is that when you do law courses, first of all, you have more insights with regard to how the legal system works. So if you start your own business, then you have a few inside tracks so that you don't make mistakes, which can be, very costly. And if you cross legal lines in certain countries, I think that, the fines as well as other penalties can be pretty detrimental. In addition to that, for those who actually want to pursue, a career in law, then they can do that after graduating from the university that they have applied to. And in certain countries, lawyers are very well paid, especially if they represent, international conglomerates or, thriving businesses. So I guess a lot of people now, switch to or choose to pursue careers in law because of, financial reasons.
Mhm. Okay, so that was it for the speaking test. Thank you very much.
All right, nice. All right, I'll see you soon. Bye bye.
Yeah, okay, bye bye.